Hey everyone, Kraken here. For those wondering whether or not I've been dead or something for the past week, or if I'm done with GD, no, I'm not. This is going to be a different style of video from my usual content. I'm still working on Cataclysm. I'm not done with it. My current best is probably somewhere around maybe, I think it's 55% at the moment, so that's my current best. When I beat it, I'll upload it to the channel. If I get past 60, I'll upload it as a progress. But today, what I want to talk about is something a little different, well, very different from my usual stuff. And that is a project I've been working on in C++, specifically my very own roguelike. For those of you who don't know, Rogue is a video game developed by Michael Toy, Glenn Wichman, and Ken Arnold, which started off the genre of roguelikes, also known to some as procedural dungeon crawlers. This game was absolutely revolutionary for the time because it was one of the first games to fully employ procedural generation in its gameplay. Each time you played, you'd get a new and unique experience, and you'd get a lot of these, as even though you could save your progress, if you screwed up, you were dead forever. This made the original Rogue incredibly brutal, yet also incredibly enjoyable. This would lead to one of the most popular game genres, even up until today. So this is what I'm going to try and recreate. For context, I've been programming for probably 3 to 4 years, but I haven't really gotten active and done any large projects, with the exception of a Discord bot, which is still in active development on my server. Last year, as a result of quarantine, like many people, I tried to learn a new hobby, and so I decided to try and learn the C++ programming language, the successor to C. As a little experiment, I'm going to really try to push myself and try to recreate one of the first ever video game classics. In this first development diary, I'm going to go over how I've managed to overcome one of the first big obstacles encountered when making a roguelike, procedural dungeon generation. Now, I'm just a pretty, average, dumb high school student. I don't know or really understand things like binary trees and pathfinding algorithms. All I know is logic, else if else, that sort of thing. Because of this, I almost gave up on this project till I eventually found a method of doing procedural dungeon generation. The method I'm about to describe is pretty rudimentary, and I'm pretty sure the original Rogue used a variant of this to generate rooms. But anyway, let's get on with it. On creation, the dungeon is split into a 3x3 grid. In each one of these grid spaces, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., a room has a random probability of being generated. My algorithm picks between 5 and 8 of these tiles to become host to rooms. Now, when it comes to drawing these things, the whole dungeon is on an 80x40 grid, which is the default size of the Windows command line, plus a buffer of 5 on each side and 5 on top for generating text, other things. That leaves us with a bit over 70 pixels horizontally and a little under 30 pixels vertically to place our rooms. My system is incredibly simple and just draws the room in the top left corner of each of these sectors. Overall, this is pretty simple and I didn't have too much hassle with it. Now, when it comes to connecting these rooms, this one's a doozy. I had no idea how to do this initially, and even still, my corridor generation algorithm is very simple. As you can see, it really just connects the rooms in a straight line. You never get any real complexity, like in the original Rogue, where the corridors occasionally spiral off in different directions. I have experimented with this, however, and I often get corridors which spawn right next to each other and connect the same rooms twice. I believe this is due to different rooms connecting to the same room, but the corridors overlap, so you never notice it until they divert. Anyway, how did I go about actually creating these things? I ended up creating a function which does two things: pick a random room to start from, and pick a random room to end with. And this random room is different from the starting room, of course, and connecting them up by just using a variation of the same way we generate lines algebraically. I compute the change in y coordinate from the starting point to the end point, and the change in the x coordinate starting from the start point and the end point, and then I take a line that goes straight until it reaches the end x coordinate. Then I do another method where I take a line straight until it reaches the end y coordinate, and then boom, you've connected two rooms. Now you can add a plus sign like in the original Rogue where the lines meet the rooms, and you have an incredibly simple method of connecting these two rooms. Now, I've tried figuring out how to potentially having diverting corridors, which sometimes go in different directions, and have different endpoints, but I've been unsuccessful due to the aforementioned reason of different connections between different rooms overlapping. If anyone in the comments can give me a real suggestion as to how I can overcome this issue, please let me know. Now, with this incredibly rudimentary and simple dungeon generation system done and out of the way, we now have a launching point for the rest of this project. Next time, I'll try to implement basic enemies and very rudimentary combat along with enemy AIs. Until then, I'm Kraken, and I'll see you in the next one.